This, ow, I bit my tongue, is the Blind Elves Disc Golf Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm JP.
And I'm Ben.
I'm sorry I bit my tongue. Well, so door_disc_golf, night_owl_pod are our Instagram handles, and then doordisc.com where you can buy all your disc golf needs. And we do have pizza bags on there from DD. They're actually hand-eye supply pizza bags. They're pretty sweet. So with that being said, if you wait, hold on. Are you guys familiar with how possession works?
It's
Like
9/10
being
of the law.
possessed. Not that type of possession, like being possessed.
I
Like
went to
demon
Catholic
possession?
school,
Sure.
so
Yeah. All right, Ben. You should
I
know.
went to
Do they have a course on possession?
No, the Catholic Church really doesn't do exorcisms anymore, but I'm sure
So they say.
sure somewhere in the world there is some nuns doing some.
All right. So possession works basically only works if you don't know who is possessing you, right? So if the person finds out, the exorcist finds out what the demon's name is, then they can exorcise that demon. But if they don't know who the demon is that's possessing it, then they can't exorcise the demon, right? So that's common, I don't know, common knowledge, right? So with that being said, if you were to be possessed by a disc golf spirit, who would that spirit be? But remember, if someone knows, you lose their abilities. If someone finds out who's possessing you, you lose their abilities.
Huh.
I'm gonna need like a minute to think about this one.
I'll start. I'm going to go with Dr. Smooth, Calavisca. I think consistency of playing helps him so much. So when he plays, he is super good, super consistent. And Kevin said, I look like a player that, or I look like, my form looks like, I'm trying to get it perfect because it was really funny. My form looks like Cale LaVisca ate Drew Gibson.
Okay.
Like, all right, well.
I got mine.
All right.
Dan Stork Roddick, PDGA number 3, solely just because I want the longevity to be playing until I'm in my 70s.
Okay. And there's very few people that would be like, hey, that's Dan that's possessing him.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird things because I feel like if somebody were to possess you, you know, with your body type and everything, it might be harder than you think to pick up on somebody's disc golf game, considering it's using your body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm going to pick Bradley Williams.
Masher. Would it be weird if you just started throwing right-handed, though?
Yeah, it would be. But then I wouldn't. But you know what? My right arm is so weak that you probably wouldn't be even be able to tell. You'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's Bradley, but that's JP, and he doesn't have a right arm, so it can't be possessed by anybody."
It's just not working.
Nope, just not working.
All right. Well, I figured I watched an Exorcist movie last night, The Pope's Exorcist. It was really good. So watch
Is it
it.
on Netflix?
It is on Netflix. Yeah, it's why can I never remember his name? The Gladiator.
Russell Crowe?
Russell Crowe. He's the Pope's Exorcist.
I remember seeing a preview
good.
for it.
Yeah, it's
Is he like the last line of defense on like exorcisms or something? Like I can remember seeing.
He's the way it goes without giving it away is he's the Pope's personal exorcist. So he goes to the most high priority exorcisms. But he still just travels around, does exorcisms. But like if there's something super high priority, he's the guy. And he has like a direct line with the Pope. So he works directly under the Pope. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's I don't know if did you ever watch The Exorcism?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's creepy, right? Like
The original Exorcist? Yeah.
Yes. Right, Exorcist. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
That's creepy. This is on that same level. Like it is good. It's good. I had to watch it in the daylight. Like 40-year-old man, 260 pounds, like sitting in the daylight watching Exorcist because it was scary. Or the Pope's Exorcist. All right. With that being said, that's one of the reasons I suck. Why don't you tell me why you guys suck?
For me, disc golf's just over the last kind of couple weeks just taken a back burner. There's just been a lot going on in my life, and
But for
unfortunately,
good reasons.
yeah, people have been getting married. That friends to go see them get married, attend their weddings, starting a new job,
And
getting a
beer's been
fence.
getting slang.
Beer's been getting slang. Put a fence in my backyard. Like there's just a lot going on. So hopefully we'll change that. Unfortunately, the harsh reality came that it appears that my tournament season may be over. So that's a big why I suck. So yeah, just not.
Heard that.
It's yeah, and with that, it's not so much that like I don't have time to play. It's just that like all the free weekends that I have that I could totally play in an event. There's no events that I like want to play or would be like meeting up with people for. And then of course like all of like the big weekends I am like preoccupied like or have like like can't miss stuff. So like that's why I suck, and it's just kind of a bummer.
You didn't give no fly weekends when you signed up for the job. You were like, these are the weekends I cannot miss.
I
can't
did.
do it all.
I did. However, the two in question are with businesses that potentially would be spending over $250,000 with us. So,
I guess that makes sense. Not with us, with the business.
yes, with
you're
the business
currently
I work
employed
with
by.
the business I work for, there is a high potential earnings of up to $250,000 over a course of a period of time, in which it is imperative that I be there for these things. So yeah, they had I had my own no fly dates. They had their own blackout dates, and we kind of had to meet in the
conflicted.
middle.
All right. What about you, JP?
Haven't done a whole lot of playing, so that's haven't done a whole lot of buying. That's another. But I did sign up for Door County Fall Classic, so that's a reason not to suck.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
One step ahead of me,
That's
man.
all I got.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna go play it again this year. I think I don't know if I'm technically an assistant TD on that yet. I'm not sure. I know that Mike and I changed our arrangement. Actually, Mike changed our arrangement. I didn't ask for it, but he was like, you guys do a lot and I want to share the profit with you guys. And I was like, you don't have to do that because, that's the agreement we've always had. And he was like, nope, I want to. So really stand up thing that Mike did. I appreciate it very much. I mean, it makes it less of a chore and more of a reward now. So that's great because responsibilities don't change that much for us on ground. So the amount of work isn't really going to change. But so pretty happy about that. That was very kind of him to do that. So now on to the 7th, I believe, year of the Door County Fall Classic. We will be doing that. So
He alluded to some of that in his video in which he pulled the biggest gem of a card of
saw
all
that.
time.
the Matt Yates, the MJ card, signed too with a little heart. And by the way, is there something going on between those two? You're the guy that knows.
All for a Sonic.
Right. That's shady dealings.
Who's to say?
Well, you are.
Yeah.
Spill the beans. No.
This is the time to make up some ridiculous rumor.
Matt is. See, I can't even see.
Is
Matt's too
actually
nice.
Mike's-
Matt's too nice of a person, in that like I really just don't want to slander him so bad.
Well, then let's just tell the truth. That Mike is actually Matt Yadis's baby daddy or daddy.
Wait.
I did not.
Wait, hold
I
on.
did not say
Matt,
Yeah, right.
Matt Yadis is
Is
the
Matt Yadis is the
illegitimate
biological
child of
yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
Mike Harrington. You heard it here first.
Not from me. I just know that Mike Harrington got fleeced on that deal.
I agree. Well, no. Well,
A tournament stamp XT Galactic Sonic.
Mhm.
That was for I forgot which tournament. Doesn't matter. So it was a one and done run
Mhm.
for a card that Matt didn't even pay for. That was a birthday present to him.
Should I tell him that I have one in my shop signed for free? I didn't even have to pay for it to give him anything. Just my love.
Did it have a heart?
It does not have a heart, so I'm a little disappointed about that.
He is a little selective on who he gives those out to. So
Yeah. I don't know if it was intended for me. I think it just ended up being in the shop and we hung it up. Because I think actually Michael put it up. So, all right. Well, the reasons I suck is because I am in full as I am aware of and know how to train for a pretty serious mountain bike race that is happening in November. So I am kind of realigning my priorities and my free time to that. And also, as a business owner, sometimes you have to step into working in your business and not on your business. And I'm in one of those points right now where I'm working in the business due to lack of suitable employees. So I am back to essentially a 9 to 5 or maybe more of like a 7 to 4:30. So it is what it is. So my free time has been limited just a bit. So I got to pick and choose what I can and cannot do. And I am prioritizing the mountain bike. So that's why I suck. I'm prioritizing something over disc golf, which
where is your race? I'm curious.
it is in Austin, Texas. It is the Austin Rattler. It is a Leadville qualifier. I am not doing the Leadville qualifier. I'm only doing the 40-mile race. The 60-mile race is the Leadville qualifier. And I have 8 hours to finish 40 miles, 1,400 feet of elevation per lap, 220-mile laps.
Nice.
Yeah.
Next year, in the same vein, next year I'm planning on running a half marathon. So.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. All for it. I know Bobby and I, because I've been trying to figure out like how to keep focused. And so Bobby started that hard 75 hard. And I was like, I should, because I'd started like 3 or 4 days before that. I'd started looking at it and he did it. And I remember I was talking to you before he had started it, or JP, I was talking to you before he had started it. And I was like, man, I should do that. The only reason that I'm failing at it is the gallon of water a day.
So
That
hard.
is so much water. It's 4 of these things right here. It is so much water to drink.
You want me to give you a little secret on that?
Sure.
Get up when I get up in the morning, and then you have a head start.
I get it pretty close to you because you're 4.
3:30.
I'm not that close. But what time do you go to bed?
On a normal night, like 7:45, 8:00.
Okay. See, I don't go to bed till like 11 or 12.
Yeah, I am pretty disciplined on my sleep. It's like the one thing I try and be as disciplined as I can be on.
Oh, yeah. No. I am. So I'm like 11 o'clock and I get up probably around 5:30 or 6 every morning. So, no.
You just got to slam out like a good portion of water right when you wake up.
That's is that you that told me that?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. And have you been getting the gallon in?
Okay, so I mean, I don't do the 75 hard. I wanted to try to see how many days I could just drink a gallon of water. So I did it like 3 days in a row. Like, I get up in the morning and I slam easily at least 20 ounces right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of helps with like dehydration, like get your body working and get like everything kind of like flowing. But man, being on the mail route and having to pee like every 20 minutes or so, that was the most like that added some time to the route.
Do you knock on customers' doors and be like, "Hey, you mind?"
No, just every open spot without any houses I try to find. Yep. But yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. So if we follow JP, you can potentially catch him on camera with. All right. Well, let's go into Thrower Hanger Flipper. What did we buy? I'll start. All I bought was pizza dry bags. I bought 2 of them. Well, I haven't technically bought them yet, but they are set aside for me. I am going to pick them up probably tomorrow and officially pay for them. But yeah, they're pizza dry sacks. They're kind of dirt bag-ish, so they have the hard pellets inside that degrade over time. So kind of a cross between a dirt bag and a whale sack. That's all for dry hands. Who's next?
Oh, I bought
JP,
nothing.
You said you didn't. Did both of you guys buy nothing?
No.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
I
really want to buy one. Oh, go for it, Ben.
I was just gonna say all my fun stuff that I bought was featured on last week's episode. So the disc golf disposable is a little tapped out right now, considering also a very large fencing project was just done. So
yeah, I know. Isn't that funny how a $20 disc can be like, I'm not sure if I want to spend that money now when you're putting out that much money for something like that.
I was talking with somebody the other day too, about the sort of in that same vein where it was like when I was 23 and living in my first apartment with my now wife, when she and I were just kind of dating and then engaged, our rent was $900 a month for this 1-bedroom apartment, and we didn't have a ton of like bills or anything yet, so like that, like $300 felt like $3,000, and then you're like, I could buy any disc I want. I could, I could ball out at the grocery store and I could get that extra pack of Oreos or that Tillamook ice cream if I wanted. And now it's like, we're shopping on the ads this week.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens. But you do also remember that when you had like the $500 credit limit on a credit card and you were like, man, how am I going to pay this off? How am I ever going to pay this off? When you would put the money on it. That's the same way, because you're like, God, that's a lot of money. Or you'd go and like buy a pair of pants and they were like $40 and you're like, who buys $40 pair of jeans? You'd wait till they're on sale, like 2 for 1 or something. Yeah, and now you can't buy anything for under $40. It's incredible. Although I try to avoid malls anymore. My daughter's in the mall phase. I don't like malls. Malls are no bueno. All right, well, since you guys are boring and I didn't buy anything, we'll get into it. So here's a preview. We're going to talk about Joel Freeman for a very lengthy amount of time. And then we're going to talk about Prodigy.
Just shoot me a text when to come back.
How about Humphreys and Heinold? And we'll do some World's Picks, and we'll get into Ben's random question, and then we'll do a bit of shop updates. There's not a lot in the shop coming in, but we are going to have a pretty big day. We did order the Halloween buzzes. Oh, well, I'll get into that in shop updates. How about that? With that
Halloween buzzes or Halloween hexes?
Both.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah. I don't know if the hexes are very spooky. The buzzes are freaking awesome. It's Ash from...
Night of the Living Dead. Or not, I mean, not Night of the Living Dead. It's Evil Dead.
Evil Dead, yes.
Yeah.
It's really good. All right, with that being said, let's get into Joel Freeman. Do you want to start off this topic, Ben? you want to give him accolades and congratulations?
Congratulations to Joel Freeman on officially graduating magician school. What you do with that is up to you. Choose your own path. Clown college is still also an option. Rodeo clown college is also an option. You choose the best path for you, Joel.
There is a searing dislike, and I don't understand it. So with that,
I've explained
Freeman.
why I don't like him.
No, yeah, I get it. So Joel Freeman and Owen Scoggins are the world's doubles champions. So unlikely pair. They did. You said, JP, they beat out Kristen and Silver.
Yep, and then Chris Clemens and Hannah win in third. Kevin Jones and Evelina. That's kind of an odd pairing.
Really?
In fourth.
Man, if their putting game is off, it is gonna be horrible.
But they came in fourth. I mean, that's decent.
That's not bad. Yeah.
And then tied for fifth was Isaac Robinson and Alexis Manahano, and with Sarah Holcomb and Raven Newsom. Hannah Blomroos and Chris Humphreys tied Aaron Gossage and Stacy Ronsley, and Jakob Simmerad and Katie Tati for seventh. And then rounding out the top 10 was Valerie Mandahano and Mason Ford.
Did Big Germ play? He usually plays with Paige, but obviously Paige is injured.
Let me just take a look. Somebody that I thought would have done decent was Calvin and Macy. They won last year. Gannonburr and Missy, I thought, had a decent shot.
Missy Gannon?
Yeah. I don't see Big Germ. Eagle and his girlfriend played. They got 21st. So, yeah, I am not seeing Big Germ's name here.
Oh.
So you want to hear a hot take?
Yeah.
I think this is the perfect opportunity to nix doubles and create a manufacturer shootout.
Ooh, yeah.
Still do doubles, but it can be a manufacturer shootout.
That's
Ryder
a good
Cup
idea.
format.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. It would make sense.
You know what sucks? The payout for this event.
Oh, you?
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Oh.
They got Joel and Owen got $150 each.
Yes.
I mean, it's an XC tier,
Yeah.
but for being crowned a so-called world champion of doubles,
I mean,
dang.
wouldn't you rather, as a DGN subscriber, watch this than the silver event this week? Nothing against the silver event this week. It was a great event, and we'll talk about it in a hot second. But from an entertainment standpoint,
This is where everybody is.
yes.
Right. Right.
For the most part, getting ready for Worlds, they get in the area, working on the course. And nobody covers it. As far as I know, I didn't see any coverage.
So to harken back to Jomez in the beginning. So Disc Golf Network, when it first started, Jomez basically went and followed the pros. I don't know if you remember that whole saga where certain pros weren't going to certain events because of whatever their feelings were about DGN, right? And Jomez followed them. They were like, well, we're going to go there. And I think it was because Jomez got ousted for the coverage, if I remember rightly. And this was 2017? Somewhere around in there-ish. Maybe even earlier, maybe 16?
Well, 16 is the first year of the tour, so it wouldn't have been earlier than 16.
Then it must have been 17. Because 17 was the year that Steve Dodge brought out DGN for the very first time, and it flopped horribly, right? Because I remember we were at Memorial. We had went and played Memorial that year. And yeah, it flopped. And then Jomez was hired to start taking over broadcasting, if I remember rightly. But anyways, why not do that? Why not just follow the pro? Because that's what people want to see. Jomez grew their brand so much so that it became a really valuable part and obviously invaluable part of what DGN does, right? So why not follow what created the greatness there?
Mm-hmm.
Why not follow the pros?
I don't know.
Those
I know
rounds,
Paige.
Good.
Yeah, I know like Paige Pierce, when the Jomez was touring and following the ladies early, before they dropped them and then like now picked them up back again. She made it a point that she's like, I'm really only going to play tournaments that Jomez was covering, right?
Right.
Like she wanted that exposure. She wanted to be out on tour and like be seen. That's, and she would make it a point like, that's what I want to do. Like,
Right.
and that's what everybody wants to see.
Well, that's what Paul Macbeth did. The same thing during that timing. Who else did that? Didn't Nate? Well, obviously Nate and Germ did.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think of who else did, but there was some very public stands about going to where Jomez was because they got ousted, and when DGN came out. So I don't know. In my humble opinion, I think you should follow where the pros are because no offense to what's the one that just played?
The
Flying
Jim
Disc Open?
Palmieri
The
Flying Disc Open.
Yeah.
50th.
Yeah, it's 50. I mean, there's some historic value there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure it's a great tournament. So I'm not knocking the TD, the tournament, nothing. What I'm saying is that I think the broadcasting choices the efforts were put in the wrong places because I would have much rather watched something like this than the Flying Disc Open. Is because of the names that were there.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I love Matty O, I mean, Martin Hendel, like, great people. But
Do you guys think that this is like the kind of the nail in the coffin for the Pro Tour, or forcing the Pro Tour's hand that, hey, just don't schedule an event regardless of if it's a silver or an elite series the week before Worlds, because ain't nobody showing up. Like, I know that they did their best effort to keep it in the geographic region, but like still.
is there a significance to the Flying Disc Open as far as being a last minute qualifier or points? Like, is there something like that there is some sort of significance to it? Or is it just simply
There was,
as far as worlds go?
there was an effort to get to different locations and to diversify the tour, right? Like, there's always going to be the staples, like Ledgestone, D-Glow, like those are, always going to be staples of the tour. And there was an effort, I know, to diversify everything. And then this is a historic event that's ran well. And then they were just like, hey, like, this matches up with our schedule and like with Worlds and people going to Vermont. And they're like, oh, like, we've never been to New York. Missy Gannon's from New York, but Missy Gannon didn't play this event and she's from New York. So that's kind of like my understanding of the significance of the event. And I think it would have been a great event and something new and exciting for disc golf on the Pro Tour. However, I don't know, maybe not have this event that close to Worlds, and it would have been probably a spectacular event because the course did look great from the little bit I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also trying to solidify a date and time for Worlds. Like, Worlds has happened as early as June, and it gets as late as like late September, if I remember rightly. So I don't know, man. Like, I've always found that odd for Worlds to be put wherever in the schedule. Like, how is a world champion crowned in June and not in the end of the year? Where's the totality of the season? Like, every World Series or world champion is crowned at the end. It's in a culmination of, except for disc golf. Disc golf, just like, man, it's just a random tournament thrown in there somewhere.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of odd.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about this too, like being somebody who maybe during the middle of the season gets injured. I mean, it happens any time. Like, the end of the season, you like could get healthier. You could be like shutting down, like your body's fatigued or whatever. But to like, if it's in the middle of the season and you're injured and you miss that event, you're pretty bummed. I mean, Worlds isn't, a lot of people put a lot more stock into USDGC or, whatever. But I mean, Worlds is still Worlds. So it would just suck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a conversation for a broader change to the tour schedule, because we talked about it before, but it's just still being hyped up of that, like, the playoffs format currently scheduled is not great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It'll get there. It'll get there. I think it will be the premier. I mean, I said this last episode as well, but it will be the premier. In my humble opinion, I think it'll be the premier event at one point or another in our sport if they don't do something drastically different with Worlds. So,
Yeah. Ooh, one more thing to piggyback. I want to mix doubles tour. I think that would be fun, but not the whole season. You do it maybe at like half the tour stops and not including Silver Series. So just elite events and like half the season. So like you have, like maybe 4 events in the first half, 4 events in the second half, and just kind of like pick and choose which courses out of those 4, I don't know.
would you want them to rock 18 or would you do just like a quick 9?
Oh, I don't know.
Like day before the tournament, quick 9.
Do it Wednesday. Do
Yeah.
Wednesday and then
Yeah,
GK, and then
I'm
GK, because then GK skins is in the afternoon. So just do it Wednesday morning, especially because doubles rounds at that level so quick. There's no debating
so
over
fast.
what the lie is. They just know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think travel would be interesting, depending on where people are, as far as like taking breaks and things. But I think that like if you did like an alternate shot, it would be exciting for people to watch. So, and interesting pairings too. Like it'd be interesting, I'm guessing a lot of people would pick the pairings that like happened right now this weekend at Worlds, but I think you could come up with some interesting combinations.
Could you do like a random draw doubles? With the elite pros, random draw doubles, that would be fantastic to watch, I think. I mean, because what if you see like...
Yeah, but I was
what if
thinking
just-
like points-wise, like how do you pick...
Right.
Or is it like, even like it doesn't matter, you just do individual points for each person and like the top like female and top pro then like win something? It doesn't matter if you're a pair, you just do it that way?
I think it's a good idea.
On random draw, yeah.
Because, because you think you could randomly get paired with like, I don't know, Calvin and Kristen or Paul and Paige or, like you think about some of these pairings that could potentially happen. It'd be fantastic, and you could also have some of the people like Joel and Paige, I'm assuming they don't like each other, but like you do something like that where you have these random pairings where there's probably a level of I don't like you. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that'd be fantastic. It'd bring some drama to the sport without full contact.
Yeah, and then we can stick them all in a house in January, and then we can eliminate.
I
them.
love how on fire you were about that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. Honestly, Ben, I think that's a fantastic idea.
I have it written out. Like,
Did you pitch it yet?
No, I have not pitched it yet. I gotta wait. I'm waiting. I'm waiting, and I'm actually going to send an email to Jeff Spring and Corey Merle if I can, and just be like, "Hey, I want to pitch this idea to you."
You will never not have proof that was your idea. It is recorded and published.
I will say this. I was listening to another disc golf podcast after ours came out that mentioned something similar to Ben's.
Really?
Yes.
Was it Casual Relief?
No.
Oh.
No, not on our network.
Okay.
So somebody outside of our podcast mentioned something Ultimate Fighter like with disc golf, and I don't remember who it was, but I was like, "Huh, okay."
So people do listen to our podcast.
Maybe.
That should make you smile, Ben.
Yeah,
It does. I just need to pitch it so no one can
Yes.
try and claim.
Yes.
Hey, we got it just like the other Night Owls that is not to be mentioned. We were like 6 or 7 months ahead of them.
I'm curious. Ooh, now that you brought them up, I kind of want to see if they're still going on.
I think they are. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're still just YouTube, and I don't think they're doing
Yeah.
a podcast. But I don't know.
Got it.
I don't pay attention.
No.
So, with that being said, let's get into some of the negative pairings. Should we talk about Prodigy now? So, some good things have been coming out about Prodigy, and I've seen it too. And I do have to say, so from the retail side, I have had some very good interactions with my new sales rep. We haven't bought anything, and I don't know if I will, because I just think that until something big changes in the Prodigy ideology, not Prodigy's ideology, but I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. The impression that Prodigy has left, I will probably not pull in any more new Prodigy. But with that being said, I've heard some really great things, and they are doing some really good things to try to get people back on board with Prodigy after a pretty shaky couple years. Nothing has changed in leadership, but I think some ideas have changed, obviously. And I think their younger players are starting to shine. And there's no, as of right now, we'll see moving season is going to come pretty soon. But as of right now, sounds like everybody's pretty happy. I would be very surprised if Gannon stays, but outside of that, everybody else seems pretty happy. So go for it. Let's hear what you guys hear.
I think that there's been, I don't know anything about the plastic, so I'll let JP talk about kind of their new plastic that they're pushing. I just know that whoever's doing their stamps and their graphic work in-house is doing a fantastic job. The things that I'm hearing is that it seems like they're actually working with a lot of the pros to figure out what they want, because I feel like in the past it was just kind of, from what we saw from like the lawsuit too, it was just like, this is what we're doing for you, kind of have to live with it. And now it seems like some of their pros, like I said, having more input over what the disc look like, or maybe what the stamp is, or like kind of the blends that things are coming out. So like that's just kind of what I'm hearing is that it seems to be more of a symbiotic relationship than it has in the past. And like I said, their artwork that's coming out has been pretty cool. They've been doing some pretty cool stuff with foil and with design work. I mean, kind of the catalyst for that, I think, was the Gannon Mando stamp that like everybody was like, this is funny, this is cool, and they did snatch some of that up.
And to follow up on that, that is one of the things when they called to ask, what can we do to freshen up our image or do better for you? One of the criticisms we gave probably 3 or 4 times was, your stamps suck, your plastic sucks. And obviously not that way. We were very constructive with it. And I remember standing in the stock room of the restaurant chatting with the rep and just saying, look, like, if you guys brought out some appealing, fun stamps that supported your players and did stuff like that, I'm not talking team stamp, I'm talking like fun, exciting stamps like the Falcor and things that Cale LaVisca did, or with what Kevin Jones did, I said I would probably be more apt to buy those than I would be and put them on the shelf than I would be some stock stamp that's just going to sit there and take up room. So they're listening. JP, go ahead.
I mean, so recently, Isaac Robinson was on with Big Gerb. I think Alden Harris too. Like, they were all at D-Glow for the practice round. They only did 9 or whatever. But Germ ended up, I don't know if he threw it, but he threw the Archive, which is Isaac Robinson's disc. And he's like, ooh, I like the way, obviously Germ was a Prodigy player back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, from what I've seen, like you mentioned, the Cale disc, like the Falcor, the Shadowfax, Strider, and then Kevin Jones had the distortion and reverb. They all feel a little different. I know that, I think definitely the Shadowfax and the Cale's discs definitely feel different than the older like Prodigy plastic. And I think Yukun is also making like the Ace Line discs, if I remember. So like they're getting away from the feeling of the flash. I think they're just something's coming around with them, with the way their plastic feels. I don't know what it is for sure, but it's trending in a better direction than what it normally had. You don't see the chalkiness. You don't see that although I was in Door Disc the other day and I was looking at the used section. I was like, oh man, there's a ton of Prodigy stuff on the shelves in the shop. Kevin's like, oh yeah, this is a lot of stuff from Nomadic. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but I think
it's a lot of that old chalky stuff, and it's also stuff that was sitting on the shelf that just has started to get chalky. So it's not
Mhm.
used. It's actually brand spanking new discs, but we can't sell them new.
Yeah. And the reason we've like kind of are talking about this is because, well, obviously the Flying Disc Open happened,
Mhm.
and two of the winners, Ezra Robinson and Chantel Budinsky or Budinsky, however you pronounce her name, both Prodigy players,
Mhm.
you know. So, and then Gannett obviously has the big, you know, he's got 5 wins. Isaac's won, you know, what was it? Do you win
Champions
Masters
Cup.
Champions Cup? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming around. They're making a name for themselves. I just don't know how many people are kind of back on the plastic in America, but they've always had the huge European
Mhm.
market.
My girl,
Yeah,
my
they've
girl
got it
Rachel
right.
Turton, Team Prodigy.
Mhm.
What is she?
Yeah,
No, haven't seen Caroline Henderson in a while. I'm wondering if she's still rocking.
she signed a 3-year deal.
Did she? Is that?
Yeah,
I thought there was like a. I thought there
Wasn't
was a
she-
window of her like testing them out for like 6 months or something and seeing if she
I
wanted
thought
to use
she
it or
was a
something.
Lone Star girl, and then she
she
Lone
was
Star
part of the
player,
Hula
and then-
Gang.
Yeah,
Hula Gang. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm hoping Prodigy comes back. I mean, I really do, because I've
Do you,
always
Shane?
said
Come
it
on.
from. Well, listen, I've said it from the very beginning. Prodigy has played a very pivotal role in
Yes.
what disc golf has become with the wages and pay of players. Their plastic just fell short for probably a 2.5 year period.
Mhm.
So
Real quick, while we're on the topic of discs and manufacturers, I heard somebody say, or I read it. I don't remember if I read it or if I heard somebody say this at League. Are you buying this or are you selling this? No Innova Pro right now is bagging anything that was released or PDGA approved after 2010. Like, these discs come out, but they're not making their bag. Like, because when you think about it, like, think about like Germ and Nate's bags. Firebird's old disc. Destroyer's older. It's not obviously just celebrated in a
X-Cal.
milestone.
I mean,
Rocks.
Cat Merch bags, the XCal.
yeah,
Shrike.
X-Cal, I think, is one. When did the Shrike was like 2008 or 9, right?
Oh, was it really that long ago?
I think it was.
I think there's some people bagging some newer stuff, but I think most people tend to just have the older molds that they rely on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's interesting.
Well, and you got to think about Innova and the amount of molds that they have. They had them covered by 2010. Like, what molds
True.
did they not have? And all they're doing is swapping flight plates and the tops and bottoms of molds and just putting them together. Like the Alien. Like, let's take a
It's so
Sonic
fun.
and a Mako.
It's
and
so
put 'em
fun to
together.
throw.
I believe it. I haven't thrown one yet.
So I think Owen was on Nick and Matt last week after she won. They got like, I thought she said she was bagging an which is a fairly new disc, but I don't
It is a
remember.
good disc.
I don't remember if that was.
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh,
She
Calvin's
said she was
for
working
sure.
on her.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Calvin.
He's
Oh,
making a
go
Toro
for it.
for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Haley's got a Hawkeye, but that's just a
Mhm.
FD.
Yep.
Truly an FD.
Yeah.
Well, and isn't it also, wasn't that like an FD2?
No, it's less
not. It's
understable.
less sta- yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
less stable than FD.
Mhm.
7.5 or 7.4 minus 2.1, I think is the.
Okay. So, all right. Well, Humphreys. Oh, by the way, I would probably, I'd buy it, but I think it's because, like it or not, Innova they're the kings. They're the ones that created what modern disc golf looks like.
I'm curious if people, they'll probably bag it but use it not as much as their older discs.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm leaning to. Like they try it out, they'll keep it in the bag for like a situational purpose, and then but still rely on the older stuff. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I feel like with Innova, it's just like their lineup is just so easy to season things in and get them to the perfect wear that it's easy to stack with them. So
Hmm.
the guys like, especially the old school guy, like I don't want to call them old school, but like Double G, Barsby, like those guys have been around the block with Innova for so long that at this point, like they can just beat anything into where they need it to be. So like, yeah, they're probably not sticking its or anything crazy or new that comes down the line is going in their bag because they'll be like, well, I could just beat this thing in a little bit and it'll do what that does, and this is more reliable for me. That
I
sort
don't
of
even know
thing.
if it's a beat in. I think it's just buy this run or
Yeah.
Yeah.
have this color, and like it's incredible the variations that Innova has. And I think a lot of people like that because they can, like you said, they can have 5 destroyers in their bag and they're not destroyers. Like there might be 2 destroyers in his bag, and then the rest of them are all stam destroyers, but they don't fly like destroyers. But and I would say I'm probably one of those guys that likes something like that. I would love to layer discs more, but I don't throw very much Innova anymore. So a lot of my old stuff, like sure, I would love to throw that stuff back in my bag. I just can't throw it anymore. So Humphreys and Heinold, let's have a quick conversation about that. So Cliff Notes version, I'll give a very, very, very vague overview, like 10,000 foot flyover of Humphreys showed up right as his name was being called to throw the first throw on the first hole. And Heinold showed up about 3 holes later and said, hey, you're getting a par plus 4 for the first hole. And then chaos ensued in reaction to a rule in the PDGA that says if a player is not there for their tee time, they take par plus 4. In its entirety, I don't believe that's exactly what it is, but that is my 10,000 foot view. Now we can have a discussion about it.
Yeah. Ultimately, the par plus 4 did not stand after 20 minutes after the round. That's important to mention there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my biggest concern with this is that it feels a lot like TD. It just feels like a lot of TD overreach. And I understand Nate's on the PDGA board, but like everybody on the card did not care. I don't want to say they didn't care. Andrew Presnell was like, yeah, technically he was late, and I guess he should have had like a par plus 4 if this is the way we're interpreting the rule. Andrew was on his card, but he's like, I wasn't sticking around for this. Like, I didn't care. Like, so like I feel like we had kind of a little bit of a discussion about this off the recording, but it was like so like the starter, because Nate was not the starter. So the starter definitely told Nate about that. So then this opens a whole can of worms because the starter is just there to read names essentially and send the group off. The starter doesn't get to make any rules decisions or anything other than just probably would have to alert like, hey, this person no call no showed, like just did not, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it feels like that's where for me at least the overreach is coming because like we're expecting the cards to police themselves and enforce the rules on the course. So then why is Nate getting involved if nothing was brought to his attention by a member of the card? That's just my 2 cents.
Well, there are still rules officials that exist, and they are designated prior to the tournament play. So, depending on who the person was or who has been assigned these things, there are people that still make calls outside of the group. But that's usually just the staff. So, it's just the tournament and the assistant tournament directors, right? I don't think there's anyone else that can be named as a rules official outside of those and players.
I mean, you could probably, I mean, the marshals, if you're going to have a marshal on the course, like we saw at European Open in the Nico debacle, like those people are certified rules officials. But I don't think that any event that I've ever seen on the Pro Tour or like watching it on coverage or being there from a couple I've been there is like those starters aren't rules officials. They're usually just a volunteer that just is agreeing to read the names.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Mm-hmm.
In the Nico debacle, that was the tournament director. Wasn't it the assistant tournament director, one of the tournament directors that actually came to follow the card?
It was just a marshal. It was my understanding. Just on the course to like enforce rules and keep play.
Okay. So
UC's the TD, and then somebody that also works for Discmania is the assistant TD.
was the assistant? Okay. All right. So the question I have, and I'll play the other side. The question I have is, why is Humphreys just running up? If the original tee time was at whatever 5 minutes prior to or whatever it was, and then it got bumped back because of the finish of the FPO, blah blah blah. Like, Humphrey should have been there. Why is he goofing around on the practice basket? Why is he like, he should be there ready to go so he's not inhibiting play, right? Because what if something else changes? What if times changes? So why are you pushing that envelope? So I guess that's my big question, because if he was standing there with his card 5 minutes early, all of this is a non-issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Maybe the tee time wasn't communicated like clearly. Like, okay, the FPO is scheduled to, take off, finish roughly at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden the time comes and like, okay, they're finished. Well, I guess we can start the round. And Luke's told like a specific time, and then all of a sudden they push it up based upon when the FPO finished. And and someone relays that message to him and he's running up to just to make it in time. I don't know. Maybe that was something that happened,
I guess that very well could be, but I know that every tournament that I have played on these larger scales have always said, be there 15 minutes before your tee time, no matter what.
Right.
Because then there's that flexibility. If you're late or they want to go off early, if something's happening, like they have the ability to make the changes. Or if somebody on the card, like there's not enough players on the card ahead and they need to bounce players back and forth, like those things can happen, right?
I don't know. I don't think you're by the rule. I don't think your tee time can be moved up without earlier without X amount of hours notice, but you obviously can be delayed. I don't know. In the PDGA rules, it also says that it's just a suggestion that you should be there early. There, in no way, shape, or form does it say it's required of you to be early.
Right, but if your tee time is at a certain time, you should be there before that, right?
Somebody's on the grounds, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do fault Luke for, not being there, of course. Like, dude, you got to figure it out. But I think that I just think that there's a lot of other moving parts to it. Like JP said, there could have been a miscommunication somewhere, especially if an FPO delay is causing this, right? Like, that could be a thing. But like I said, I also think that it is a bit of an overreach if no one actively was like, I need to go tell Nate Heinold about this. Like,
So Nate Heinold is required to address any and all issues that come to his plate. So I don't think he necessarily did the wrong thing by approaching the situation. I just think now I'll switch sides here. I think he made a bad call. I think that, or from reading, it says absent. If the player is not present at the start of the round or assigned group and the player is considered absent and does not play the hole. A player is also considered absent if the player did not play the previous holes. So he was there. He was present. He was there when the guy called his name. He threw. There was no delay from everything that I'm getting. There was no delay. He was there. So he didn't. And you have, what do you have, 2 minutes? So from the time the person calls you to address your lie, throw, 2 or 3 minutes. What is that? I forgot what that is. Anyways, per PDJ rule, you have a certain amount of time once you address your lie to throw, which I think is 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But that's once you address your lie. And I think, anyways, so with that being said, let's say it's even 30 seconds. We'll just take it down to the 30 seconds. Or, no, they changed that recently. It's 30 seconds. It's 30 seconds. Whatever it is. It's 30 seconds to a minute. Anyway, if he was there and like, oh, he just needs to pull his disc out of his bag, all that stuff, like 30 seconds is actually a pretty long time when you're addressing it, So if he got the throw off, he was able to finish the hole. And the way that I've always understood the rule is as long as your card has not left the hole, has not completed the hole, and you show up, you can play. Unless something has changed. So I don't know. I feel like obviously Heinold didn't make the appropriate call because the PDGA Rules Committee reversed the call, reversed the par plus 4 after it was contested. So it is what it is, I guess.
I always wish, at the end of rounds that, like DGN always like talks with people. I always want the like firsthand story rather than hearing it like secondhand, through like,
Right.
Unis category, like, oh, like what pushed you back? Or like what, just come out and say like what pushed you, what made you late or whatever. Or
Right.
I always want those stories. Like,
Right.
there's always something like that you hear, and then it's like, oh, but what's the real story?
Right. Well, and that's kind of what Ben brought up a little bit, but when the story we're getting, when you talk about the real story, the story we're getting is that Heinold even went and addressed the card, and the entire card was like, no, like that's not the case. Why is this happening? And I don't know exactly how those conversations went, but every single Pro Tour player is a PDGA rules official, right? You have to pass the test. You have to get the kid. I mean, and it is kind of an easy test, open book, everything. But these people, this is what they do for a living, right? Most of them, I'm sure. So with that being said, all 4 of them are standing. Well, the 3 others and Humphreys are all standing there going, this isn't the case. He shouldn't be getting this. And Heinold's like, nope, this is going to happen. Like, there's 4 rules officials against 1. And I know that Heinold is the ultimate say at this tournament, but honestly, at the PDGA, sadly, or not sadly, but I guess he's the PDGA president right now. So with that being said, like, I guess he ultimately has the approval, but I don't understand why he stuck to his guns so much when all 4 of them were standing there saying this is not the case. So it's weird situation. Anything else to add to it?
No.
All right. Well, let's get into our world's picks. What we will do is 1, 2, 3, male, female, or mixed and then female, and then we will go from there. Who wants to start? I guess it's me again. All right, we will start. I am going to say coming in third, I am going to pick Gannon Buhr. In second, I'm going to pick Simon Lizotte. And in first, I'm going to go with Heimburg. Should I go on to FPO? Just do all my picks together?
Sure.
If you want to.
All right. Taking it all, I'm going to go with Tatar. And in second, I'm actually going to push Own up there. And then in third, I'm going to go with Missy Gannon.
I will go. I'm going to pick Gannon Buhr in third, Simon in second, and Calvin as well for the first, because I think it just makes sense. Like I don't like see the MPO right now is so hard to like not copy because like it just feels like these guys are just showing enough to play lately. But on the FPO side, I'm going to go Kristin Tattar in first, Paige Shue in second, and I'm going to pick Missy Gannon in third.
So she does have a Worlds win there.
Trying to recapture some of that magic.
Kevin Jones always plays well here too.
Yeah. All right. I will go start with MPO. Third place, I'm going to pick someone who's played pretty well recently. I'm going to take Colra Dahlin.
Okay.
All right.
Second place, I'm going to pick Simon.
Mm-hmm.
First place, just because I want to see him win. I'm going to pick
Nasexton.
Calvin.
Oh,
And my dark horse pick, Paul Macbeth.
yes. I was going to follow up with Paul Macbeth as my dark horse because it's Worlds. He
Yeah.
always shows up.
The only thing is, Paul hasn't played in like a month.
Well,
But-
he's been doing nothing but practicing for Worlds.
Exactly, but nothing but practicing for Worlds. So
He's
Yeah.
going to show up and obliterate it, and all of us are going to look dumb for not picking him.
true.
Who would be your dark horse? So my dark horse is going to be Handley, because she's just been misconsistent up there at the top, and I think she has an ability to do it. We'll see if she can put it all together.
Cool. Okay, so for my FPO, Kristen, Owen, and I'm going to take Holland third.
Ah, I thought you already picked your FPO. I'm sorry about
No,
that. I
that's
got
all
way
right.
ahead of it.
My
And then
dark
Katrina's my dark horse.
Katrina. Okay, my dark horse on MPO, Paul Uleberry.
Because he got the third there.
That and there's always something to be said about being a veteran and having the experience to last over 5 rounds, because that's the big thing is that it's 5 rounds, it's
Yeah.
5 days. And then
Wait, Tuesday, right?
I think so.
Wednesday. Tuesday. Wednesday.
It's either
'cause it
Tuesday or
ends on
Wednesday.
Saturday.
It's Wednesday,
Yeah.
Thursday,
Okay.
Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so it must be Tuesday.
Crazy. Usually Wednesday through Sunday, but
But one thing to say about Paul is he is old, and that's a lot of disc golf.
yeah.
Although I would be the happiest person in the world if he wins. Well, maybe not the world, but I'd be pretty darn happy.
Hey, if there's 40-year-old pitchers in Major League Baseball still slinging, Yuli can play 5 rounds.
Wasn't Nolan Ryan like 51 when he retired?
He was old. I mean, you gotta think about it. He was on the '69 Miracle Mets, and then he was punching Robin Ventura's face like a decade and a half later. So yeah, he was old.
He threw out a first pitch at a Rangers game the other day and threw 83 miles an hour.
Dude was still throwing gas in his last game. Didn't he pitch a no-no when he was like 44 or something like that?
He has the record for the most no-hitters.
Yeah.
He's my idol. I don't play baseball, but he's still my idol.
Oh, I gotta do my FPO dark horse.
Yep. Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that.
Goodness me. Paige Shue would be a good dark horse, but I picked her to take second.
She'd be a great dark horse.
I'm trying to. Henna Blommers.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
All right.
My second dark horse is Cat Mersh.
Are we going to go into second dark horses? Are we just going to pick the entire field by the end of it?
Careful, Cat Merch will try and sell you something from her MLM.
From her multi-level marketing.
Oh, boy.
What is she officially? Is it Avon or?
No, we don't know. It's just somebody after it was Preserve when I was there. It was just said that they were kind of over the Cat Merch shtick, and she also gives off the vibe of that she's part of an MLM.
We've had that discussion. I don't see her as an
Herbalife.
MLM. Maybe I do.
Yeah, right. I knew somebody that sold that for a while. And then they
You notice
realized
how it's always used to sell that?
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Yeah. All right.
I'm not only I'm not only sponsored. I also use the product, so I know what I'm talking about.
Wasn't that what that Thunderbird bars were too? Weren't they kind of like that?
Those
I don't
were at
know,
least
but-
those were at least legit. You could get them at the grocery store. Like I had them. Like they weren't like you didn't have to
Oh,
buy
really? I've
them.
never seen them.
Yeah, they're Woodman's.
I've seen them. Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't have to go find some girl boss on the internet to get a Thunderbird bar. You could at least get them from a grocer.
Okay.
Like Paige had them as a sponsor for a while on her shirt. You'd see like
Yeah.
Thunderbird bar. I'm like, I don't know what happened to him.
Her flavor was not good.
Okay.
What was it? Do you remember?
It was like maple something. It was like sweet potato maple something. And I was like, in theory, it should be good, but it's just like,
See, I'm a huge fan of sweet potato pie, which is maple, brown sugar, like marshmallow. Love the mix. You put it as a flavor in anything, it is garbage. But guess what? We're coming into the season.
Mm-hmm.
pumpkin spice is out, Shane.
Oh, that's not the thing anymore?
No,
Oh,
it's like
No, I'm
already
just saying it's out. Like I'm saying, like
It's
it's out in like that you can go and get it out.
You know what's really funny is that we just made the decision like, okay, we should buy the pumpkin spice because people are going to be wanting it pretty soon. I don't even know what to think about my life right now.
You can buy it, but just sell it, like have like a release date. You're like, we're not selling it before this.
I don't want to deal
Just
with
run it as a pre-order and see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah. Pre-order your pumpkin spice latte here. Oh, first come, first serve, no holds. When we run out, we run out. Oh, I'd have a lot of angry. I'm not going to say it. So, Ben, let's start with your random question.
What is something that is popular now, but we will all probably look back on it and either be embarrassed or embarrassed for other people that participated in the trends? I saw that I came up with this question because I was looking back at I saw a TikTok today of somebody that was like got a text message from their mother-in-law that was just their spouse's senior photos from like 20 years ago of like in the early 2000s that was like, can you believe this guy wore this in his senior photo? So that's the origin of this, is that let's fast forward like 20 years. And what do you think is?
How about TikToks? I feel like it's a MySpace.
Nah, I don't see that. I'm gonna disagree with you on that because people of like my age demographic, we feel that way like about Vine. Like we still like we hold on to Vine and Vines that we remember, and they get quoted unnecessarily amount of times. So I feel like there's gonna be a whole another crop of people more so that are gonna feel that way about TikTok.
Yeah, but people also thought The Dark Crystal was a good movie too, and they still hold on to it.
It's a cult classic.
It is.
It is not.
Jim Henson, man.
So I'll say one that I hope mullets go out of style, really, and the big like Viper glasses.
You're not the only one.
My son likes them, and I don't.
Does he have a mullet too?
He does have a mullet too.
Oh boy.
And I cut his hair, and I cut his hair to a mullet because he wanted a mullet. I tried to make it as non-mullet as a mullet can be, but a mullet's a mullet. I left the top a little longer than a traditional mullet.
We're probably about 3-4 weeks away from school picture day too. So
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna rock a
Already
mullet.
had them for us.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I ran a rat tail for a while, so
is that what you look back on and are a little embarrassed on? Is the rat tail?
you know. But the good thing is that all pictures look at this thing, not my rat tail. So there's a few pictures you can find the rat tail in, but
You should have just done an Anakin braid instead.
Ooh, yeah, Padawan.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. I could still do that because it's the hair on top of my head that's going away. It's not the stuff on the side. Could I just braid it into my beard?
That'd be pretty cool. You look like a pirate.
I think it would. All right. What about you, JP? I've said my piece now.
Pumpkin spice latte.
Dude, Pumpkin Spice is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year.
That's ridiculous.
Here's your fun fact of the day. Washington, D.C. was the test market for pumpkin spice latte. Why do I know that? Worked at Starbucks for 4 years.
Starbucks.
So all the politicians were buying them, and they're like, "Hey, this is really good. Like pumpkin spice lattes." I don't know. To me, that's bad. Same thing with
Is it
big
okay?
hats,
Oh,
like big
yeah.
brim hats. Like, I think people look ridiculous with them.
Agreed. And they walk through like they're not disturbing anybody. Like you have to like dodge hats. They're wider than your shoulders. Not okay. So is it just a white girl thing? Or is it like multiracial pumpkin spice?
Pumpkin spice appeals to a lot of different people, and I think it's
You don't have to be PC.
no. I just think it does. I think there's like people have associated pumpkin spice with a feeling and a set of like experiences. So I think that's really what it is. People look
You know
forward
what
to
I'm hearing
pumpkin
right
spice.
now, Ben?
What?
I'm hearing that you are a huge pumpkin spice fan right now,
I
and you're
actually
trying
am
to
not.
protect it.
Oh
I'm actually not. I have post-traumatic Starbucks disorder, in that there are like flavors and like smells and tastes from working there for so long that like are just like instant vomit or instant like ugh for me. And pumpkin spice is one of them, because of just like it's no matter how many times, like if you let it sit on you, no matter how many times you wash it, like it just smells like it.
It's still there.
The one flavor that I love from Starbucks is chestnut praline, but that comes out of Christmas. And
That sounds good.
Wisconsin was the test market for it when I was working there. So I have so for that, like for me, I associate chestnut praline and the smell and the taste of like happy times because it's around Christmas and I really love Christmas. So like that is why I love chestnut praline, because it symbolizes the start of a fun time.
I remember when we went down on that road trip and we went to a Starbucks and you started telling me all these like cheat codes. And I was like, this is amazing because I know nothing about Starbucks. I'm like, I just want a drink. And you're like, no, this is what you should do. And I was like, this is awesome. Because you started to end, but they have that caramel praline crunch thing, like frappe or whatever. It was so good. Anyways. All right.
But my embarrassment is the gritty, the dance move, not the mascot. The mascot is great and he should live on forever. But the dance move, all these kids are going to be embarrassed in like 20 years.
JP, do you remember like the Cabbage Patch and the Running Man and
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
it is amazing how butchered all of those dances are now. Like the Kid and Play,
Yeah.
like, and they're turning them into like TikTok dances, and they're just not like they're not the same as what it used to be.
Have you seen the TikTok or like video of the teacher? There's a teacher like who is like doing all these dances with like the kids around him and everything down south.
Yes.
And he's like the most popular guy. Like I think that's great. Like I
Oh,
love
I
how the
agree.
kids like hype him up and he's like
Yep.
doing it all this like during recess or lunch hour or whatever. And
Wasn't he doing like the worm and all that stuff too?
yeah.
Yeah. Good for him. I want to get back on TikTok because I really found it enjoyable. I should. I don't need to waste.
No,
my
because
time
then
on
you're
that,
never
so.
going to sleep because you're going to be laying in bed watching TikToks until 2 a.m.
That's exactly what happens right now. I get on YouTube and YouTube Shorts get me. Like I just constantly flip through YouTube Shorts. It's
That's what Dempsey was doing when I left the house today. He was like on the TV just watching YouTube shorts. I was like, really? Like you're just gonna say? And they just keep like going
Yes.
and going and going. Like there's no stop to it.
it's incredible. I like it, but I don't like it also. So, all right, shop updates. Here we go. We have discs coming in. We do have the Halloween hexes, Halloween buzzes are all ordered and ready to, well, not ready, but they will be ready in time. The Dee Dee, we did get those pizza bags, like I said, those dry bags. So I think we have like only like 7 of them left or something like that. And then we do have some more disc hangers. And I think outside of that, that's about it. We will be doing a large restock within about a couple weeks here, to kind of freshen up our inventory for the winter, and then in time for the fall classic. So we'll have a bunch of new discs for the fall classic. So I think outside of that, there's not much else. Do we have anything inspirational or noteworthy to leave on?
Don't put Twinkies on your pizza.
That's a good one.
Do you know what that's
The
from?
irony is, I have no clue.
It's from the movie Heavyweights. Perkus Power, baby.
I love that movie. Okay. Although I would eat Twinkies on a pizza. I'm a huge Twinkie fan. I'm not going to lie. I just recently obtained an entire case of Twinkies, and I've eaten too many Twinkies. JP?
No, yeah, this is actually like pretty inspirational. Well, not inspirational, but this shouldn't be an afterthought in the show. Eric Oakley has been on social media the past couple of days, and he's been talking about just dealing with some mental health issues, struggles on the course, kind of tour life taking a toll on him. He's supposed to play Maine State Championships this weekend, or this past weekend, I think, and ended up pulling out just because he wasn't happy with his attitude on the course, and some things were just bothering him, and he wasn't in the right headspace. So just make sure you take care of yourself out there. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life. You don't have to be a touring disc golfer. We all have hardships. Just whatever you need to do to find your happy spot, or whatever it is that can help you feel good, reach out to others. There's people always out there who are willing to help. And sometimes asking for help is hard, but people are there to listen. So take that time and, do what you need to do, get yourself right.
I like that. And I can't end on anything ridiculous, because I'm just going to reiterate that. Make sure you reach out and call. There's nothing worse than being in a dark place. So just chat, just talk. Sometimes just a quick phone call or a text will help that mood just that much more. So thanks, JP. With that being said, we'll give deuces and we'll just leave them there. Peace out.